Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. We're standing in front of the Lafayette Square on Street H, in between the Department of Veteran Affairs and the White House. So in front of us is a White House peace protest, which has been going on here for around 40 years, completing in June.
Right.
And, through rain, hurricanes, COVID, a pandemic, blizzards, snow. So, as you know, this is the First Amendment by the Congress, the U.S. Congress, which is very similar to the Article 19, the fundamental right by the Constitution of India to, peacefully assemble and, protest freely without bearing arms. So we have Brother Philippos here, Philippos Melaku, who has very well educated from UCLA, right? University of California, Los Angeles, and he's worked with different corporations throughout the world. Right now he's been sitting here since 1981, and protesting for human rights against different wars and nuclear wars. So we would be talking with him, and actually we've been having meals together since I landed here last week. So we've been enjoying each other's company, and I really wanted to have everyone meet him as well, so that when fellow activists talk and what kind of conversations we have. So good afternoon, brother. Thank you so much for your service and being a voice for the downtrodden and the people who are suffering throughout the world.
Greetings to everybody in India and also the Indian community within North America. What I saw the first day, probably about 2 weeks ago, when I started seeing some of the Sikhs coming out, is I've had a good relationship with the Sikh community in Washington, D.C. and really the East Coast of the USA for a long time, as many times they've come through because of things that were more political. Just the territories that are Kashmir, that are both in Pakistan and in India. Mm-hmm. So, but on this one, this has got nothing to do with politics. This has got to do with the people that actually grow the food that keeps everybody healthy. Mm-hmm. So that everybody should be in arms about over 300 farmers having been arrested and tortured, and the other 120 that they are not getting any information on, that are missing. So we don't know where those farmers and their wives, daughters, cousins, male cousins are, and could be possibly them, and others are tortured beyond just being imprisoned. Tomorrow, it will be Saturday, there will be a march happening from the Lincoln Memorial to the monument on the side of the which it's at 12 noon tomorrow. So I encourage our friends that might see this video that are not from the Indian community to come out and stand with farmers, because farmers are really the lifeline that we have to good health, and all farmers should be respected in this manner. If India does not want to subsidize the farmers, well, that just will end up eventually causing hyperinflation, as already there are monopolies happening in India, so that of course the rich can get richer, the big multi-billion-dollar corporations, and then they will set the prices, which people that are working for a meager wage will not ever be able to afford to get nutritious food. We want everybody to have health security, which you need agricultural, pro-agricultural laws to secure that everybody has a means to healthy food. Goes for water too, but in this case it's the people that spend their life. A farmer doesn't work 40 hours a week. A farmer works 80 plus hours a week. He grinds his hands nearly to the bone when he's picking the fruits, the vegetables that grow on his land. And some of these vegetables, when you get them in the store, they might look prettier than when they're picked. When they're picked, you might have take them off something that's thorny. You're actually giving your blood and life into your work and your sweat into your work. And these are the laborers that in most societies are paid meager amounts of money when you really count the amount of hours that they work throughout the month. Instead, we have to stand with our brothers and sisters that are from here. Remember, the only race on earth is called human.
Absolutely.
There's not more than that one race, so we're all of the same race.
Absolutely. And we're still in conversation, and I want to tell you, the Prime Minister of India, Honorable Mr. Narendra Modi, he was talking to the upper house last month. He mentioned to people like us, people like Brother Phillips, who's very well read, educated from American school, and he called people like us Andolan Jeevis, like protesters, professional protesters, So this is what Andolan Jeevi, life of Andolan Jeevi is like, standing up for the truth in in the worst climate, standing up for the truth. There's a famous saying, there's no the evil will only prevail when the good men do nothing. So you can be differently abled, you can be financially downtrodden, but still I think having your conscience alive and being the voice of truth is what matters. That's why we are here, because human race, as brother said, is one. We should make sure that injustice at any place is injustice everywhere, as Dr. Martin Luther King said. So injustice to any human, if you are, suppose, you are, Muslim, or if you are somebody in Hong Kong, somebody in Tibet, somebody in Palestine, we know all about all these problems, and now Indian farmers are in the same boat. So should we not be picking up, our voice against the human rights violations, or should we be shying away from the truth that India is fastly moving from a very, from the largest, democracy of the world to being an authoritarian regime, under the current government. So should we not voicing our support to the truth? So those are the questions we should be asking ourselves, And above all, there can be no culture without agriculture. You cannot have arts, you cannot have sciences, you cannot have roads, you can have no infrastructure. Food is the basic right that not just humans, every animal, every bird, every living organism cannot survive without food. So what we are trying to do is 45% of children sleep without food or malnutrition. Isn't the farmer trying to just put food on the table? Isn't the price, like minimum support price, the thing that the farmers are fighting for, a human right issue? How can this be a political issue? How can this be a religious issue? How can this be a social issue? Just imagine, if you don't have minimum wage, if there is no law for minimum wage in the US or any developed economy, how will you guys put food on the table? So if farmers have minimum support price for their crops, that will not only help the farmers, but will help the whole economy. So we should be looking at, a progressive India. We should be, when we talk about all the great vision for, India to be a superpower. So we cannot expect India to be a superpower with the backbone of the country, that's farmers, be crushed. So always, try to look at the truth, as our brother, brother Bhagat Singh rightly said. We should read with open eyes, not try to fall trap to the false propagandas by the Union Government of India. So we really thank Brother Philippos. So Brother Philippos, thank you so much again for being the voice for Indian farmers and calling everybody for the rally tomorrow. So what do you have as message for people, who who still think that food is grown in McDonald's or food is grown in, who didn't really know where the food comes from. So what do you think? Should we be ignorant as humans to where the food is coming from? Like, there are many people still who don't know that food comes from the farm. Food is grown by farmers. They still think that it grows probably in McDonald's.
No, I mean, I literally had friends that I know. I didn't live in Beverly Hills, but some of them went to UCLA, and they were from Beverly Hills. Here they were going to university, and I took them to a butcher shop to pick up
The meat.
pounds of meat, and they said, "Oh my gosh, they have a whole cow back." They opened that refrigerator and they had a whole cow back there. And I go, "Yeah, where did you think that the meat that you like to eat so much comes from?" And she didn't know. She thought, well, she thought that, it's out. That's already packaged. I'll buy that one. And then, but you know that it was. Well, we know that it was from cow, but somehow from this living thing to this being on my plate,
Absolutely.
she never made the full connection. And here she was already like 19 years old at UCLA. This is, if you don't know this by the time you're maybe 7 years old, okay, when you're a little kid you might not know. But by the time you're 7, 8, 9 years old, you should know that, hey, those chickens that run around there, there's a reason why we call this chicken. Because those we call chicken, this is chicken.
Definitely.
Now sheep and lamb, okay, it's called something different when it's alive.
Absolutely.
Goat meat, goat milk, goat, all this comes
Even the
from,
food grains.
and the grains, because those animals, as you said correctly, those animals need the grains that the farmer also grows the grains for his livestock.
Absolutely.
Goes the grass for his large mammals.
Definitely.
So it's all connected, and we're all connected. And if the farmer does not get an equitable amount of pay, then that connection will fail. Those make peaceful revolution possible, make violent revolution inevitable.
Oh, that's awesome. Those who make peaceful revolution possible make violent revolution inevitable. So can be word. That's so powerful. And irony of the situation, people who are still ignorant to the fact that the food comes from, the farmer. The irony of the situation is because they are going to be the worst hit. Do you think if the government stops buying our produce at the fair price, we would still eat food because we would be growing it, right? Who is going to be the worst hit? Who would be the person that is going to look at countries like Venezuela? Look at any country that has lost the country. People who live in urban areas are going to be the first one to get the hit. Rural areas will still be able to survive. So it is the irony of the situation. People who are the most ignorant to the fact of farmers are fighting for will be the first one to be hit by hunger and all the problems that will arise with shortage of food. So thank you, Brother Phillips. We give you much strength, and you keep on working towards equality and against the nuclear weapons. So we really, and do you want to tell us something about your mission? What you've been doing, and something about your story.
Well, my story runs through the nuclear industry because my father raised me. My father in 1952 did a protest across the street from the White House against the Korean War and against atomic weapons. So obviously being raised by that guy, my father, sure. I was an anti-nuclear activist. My father, he was an activist before that protest in 1952. So, he was a Gandhi-era protester.
Absolutely.
Pre-Dr. Martin Luther King. They honored each other. Dr. Martin Luther King honored my father, and my father honored Dr. King as well. And I've been going to nuclear and pro-peace rallies since I was a little boy, 3 years old, 4 years old, too young to remember. But the good influences of my father and my mother stayed with me. So I had to do something besides graduating from UCLA, political science major. I did work for Selassie, and I worked for him for.
His Highness from Ethiopia.
Yeah, yes. The last reigning king of Ethiopia, his father was the last reigning emperor of Ethiopia, Emperor Haile Selassie.
And you talk about a small story about equality for women. How important it is for young boys to be when they visit these rallies. Can you just share that experience, please?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a young boy going to women's equality rallies, and it just taught me, look, all the things that were ever done in U.S. history, and some throughout world history, where some communities have considered women lesser than men. Yet, how can we be lesser than the same womb that we're born out of?
Oh, that's so logical.
We can't be less. I mean, we can't be more than the womb that brought us forward.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The man's responsibility in us being born can be an hour and a half. It can be 30 minutes. It can be 45 seconds.
Sure.
For some guys. But the woman carries 7 months to 9 months, and sometimes 9 months and 3 weeks if the child's a little late. So I'm not ever going to say 45 seconds or 9 months of carrying a child. We have our part to play in it, but we should act like we have our part to play in it. We should stay in the child's life until the child is definitely finished with their education. They go to university, graduate 22, 25, whatever they graduate university at, medical in India, going to science fields and going to medical fields. And we love the Indian community that comes to the United States and actually seeks higher learning, because many of them stay here and save our lives. Absolutely. Many of them stay here and develop different vaccines, cures, or work in a think tank that ended up developing these vaccines and these cures. So the Indian contribution on in North America is very honored by the educated Canadian and U.S. citizens.
Absolutely. That's so powerful. Actually, to add to that, I just heard a line a couple of days ago that immigrants make America great again and again and again and again. So that was very powerful.
There would be no transportation coast to coast before the airplane without the Chinese here working the railroads. So think about the importance of Asia.
There would be no Hoover Dam without them.
Right.
The contribution of the immigrants, even in agriculture, and especially when we're talking about women. So we're standing here for March month. Is the International Women's Day month. So if we look at that, women's contribution to agriculture is immense. We cannot imagine like life and agriculture without women who work day and night. Actually, I would say women till the lands, and women do more hard work than men. All the men handle marketing portion and the social PR portion of selling the crop as well, but women do the real hard work. So we have immense respect for them, and immense respect for women who give birth, especially the women in the rural India who give birth to all those brave sons who have been protecting the borders. So that is a true salute to them. And while Brother Philip was telling about the women that carry the child in the womb for months, I would like to share, and we're really sorry for this fact. Brother Phillips lost his wife while delivering twins, right? So that's a personal thing, that we become very kind of close, we acquaintances, I would say now, turning into a good sweet bond here. We're friends now. That it's sad. So I want to tell this to Prime Minister of India. So this is the life of Andolan Jeevis, the professional protesters you're talking about. They're sitting over here in hail, storm, hurricanes, pandemics, but still, the voice for truth will always be there. And we're very confident there are, our world will be a better, place place, because of all the things doing. So, brother, just any last thoughts? Again, everybody, 20th March, Washington D.C., Lincoln Memorial March for Indian farmers.
At 12 noon tomorrow.
12 noon.
Yes.
So
So just keep on loving each other. No matter what any political administration ever says, stay one India as the Indian people. Even when certain governments want to separate everyone or put some people of one ethnic or religious group of their thoughts above the thoughts of one unified India. Stay one unified India. The people are more important than the government.
absolutely, absolutely. And we always say no farmer, no food. Do you have anything to say about the Indian food?
Oh my gosh! You know that I love my tikka masala. I love my Punjab chicken, my tandoori. Oh boy! Give me a little bit of naan and a little bit, and the many other wonderful breads that there are in India. And people in the United States usually think, oh, naan and maybe roti, yeah, and they think roti is from Trinidad. Yeah, but look at the amount of people in Trinidad that are from
India,
Eastern India, not West Indies. Yeah, so and when I've been to even London and Manchester, England, and the huge Indian community, I can't go hungry. I can't go hungry because that's a huge choice. When you go away from the vegetarian, of course, a lot of goat. Which I love. I love goat over beef, cow beef. So, yeah, I could go on and on about Indian restaurants, but please, somebody open up an authentic tasting Indian restaurant. It would have to be more expensive because you'd have to import who grow the spices, the grain, right? The ingredients. You're importing them from India because our tomatoes don't taste nothing. Oh, they don't taste delicious like Indian tomatoes in India. They import it to England in all the vegetation, all the spices. Over here, they just say cheaper to import Caribbean. It's not the same curry. It's got its own flavor, but it's not Indian curry. Please. You can even stop because I might go on 3 hours about Indian food. Okay, so I love you all. And again, even me speaking long-winded about Indian restaurants, it all leads back to the Indian farmer.
Absolutely.
So the Indian farmer has affected the taste and the palate of the people throughout the planet yearning for Indian food.
Yeah. So if you love Indian food, you'll love Indian farmer.
7.6 billion people on Earth and people in every single continent love that Indian food grown by Indian farmers, raised by Indian farmers and ranchers.
Absolutely. So if there's no Indian farmer, there's no Indian food. If you guys enjoy Indian food, we'll see you guys in Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial tomorrow at noon. Long live the farmers. God bless America.